You're listening to Icebreakers, the podcast exploring all things Canadian and Eurasian, business, culture, and personalities. The series is produced by CERBA, the Canada, Eurasia, Russia Business Association. We're a non-profit supporting trade, investment, and good relations between Canada and the countries of Eurasia. I'm your host, Nathan Hunt, one of the founders of CERBA and former chairman of the National Board. I invite you to tune in regularly for valuable insights relating to the region. So, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Nathan.
Good afternoon. I'm joined today by legendary rock star, musician, creative genius, been dubbed the Paul McCartney of Russia. I don't know how accurate that is, but he certainly is a genius. Those of us who lived in Russia for decades know his music, love his music. I listened to him live in concert at Mr. Deripaska's event in St. Petersburg on more than one occasion. I'm going to say twice, if not three times. We're joined by Ilya Lagutenko, the founder of the group Mumiy Troll, musician extraordinaire. So hello, Ilya.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great, and I'm glad to have you on the show today. Can we start by talking about the very beginning? When did you begin to sing? When did you find that music was your calling?
The beginning of me rock and rolling for all my life. I grew up in Vladivostok, which is like 7 days by train from Moscow, or 9 hours by plane, and which is only 2 hours drive to China and Northern Korea, and only 1 hour flight to Tokyo.
I've been in Vladivostok many times. I love that city. It's the beautiful Golden Horn Bay. Looks like a jeweled crown at night. I have a friend with an apartment that overlooks the bay, and it is absolutely stunning what they've done with that city, with the new bridge and the developments of Russian Island, Ruski Ostrov. I love Vladivostok, I can tell you.
Yeah, but back in years in Soviet times, that was the city was closed, even for Russian citizens. I mean, for Soviet. I guess because it had Navy base, so, they wanted to keep
the military angle, understood.
All those secrets, safe. but at the same time, Vladivostok is the biggest port in Russian Far East. So we had all those sailors who were going back and forth, between continents, carrying whatever they were carrying. I remember the port never slept, and all that sounds of ships coming in and out, and people working in the port, all those mechanisms doing their routine. I guess that was my real rock and roll.
Quite a hive of activity.
But then, obviously, we had some family friends. Among sailors among family friends who would bring, interesting presents from their travels. And I especially been interested in the music in forms of cassette tapes, long play vinyls, and music magazines. I even remember one time, a Japanese one called Music Live. So you open, the magazine, and you know it all. You know everything about music and life. The only problem, it was in Japanese. So,
so that would be a challenge. So when did you start performing? I think it was at a young age, I've heard.
Yeah, and I actually I documented my pre-teenage years at that time, and apparently my first official band was formed when I was 10 years old.
Good Lord.
I did it with a friend of mine who lived upstairs. And where did we get the idea of rock band? I have no clue. I mean, I don't know. Probably, all that. Okay, we had some music at home. My parents had some cassette tapes, but they'd never been, following trends or. One tape would have John Lennon's album on one side and, some Russian chansonnier like Vysotsky on other side. So that type. And another tape would be Boney M and ABBA. And at the same time, I remember we even had Jesus Christ Superstar. Part 2.
Ah,
So I never know
fabulous.
actually what happened in the part 1, but at home we only had part 2.
Great show. I'll send you part one of these days.
Yeah. And funnily enough, the first ever record we decided to make, it was rock opera. We just decided, who cares about singles or albums? We'll record rock opera. And it was called The Flight to Mars.
The Flight to Mars.
Flight to Mars. So the synopsis was people going to Mars, landed there, meet some Martians, have a bit of rough time understanding each other, but everything going well, and they get back to Earth successfully. So that was our first record. We did it in a couple of hours. We recorded it on reel-to-reel tape machine, which I had at home. And next day I took it to my classmates and said, like, would you like to hear it, the new rock opera? And they were thinking like I'm talking some probably Japanese to them, like, what, rock, what, opera, what, rock, rock band. I mean, we still playing toy soldiers and football, and who cares about rock music?
What is rock music, right?
What is rock music? Yeah, exactly. Because we never had it on the radio, we never had it on television. We didn't have internet.
So I got to ask you, Ilya, where can I hear that music? I want to hear Flight to Mars. Where can I hear it?
I wish actually I had my first recordings ever. Apparently, my granddad kept all those vintage tapes at his dacha outside Vladivostok. And one day, some vandals actually put this little house on 6 square feet on fire for some reason. I don't know. So everything's gone. But when it happened, I was more cautious, to my recordings after that. So started from 1983-ish, early 80s.
Yep.
I more or less have, most of the stuff we recorded. I travel the cities, I travel the world, and that's the only luggage, I'm allowed to have, all those tapes.
Your music.
Yeah, tapes, reel-to-reel tapes, and, my notebooks where I, write lyrics, old-fashioned style. So that's the only things which travels with me, but this is, a couple of suitcases, full of cassettes. I still have them. I'm busy digitalize.
Understood.
Most of them, but yeah, it's a good source of personal imagination. Sometimes when I'm like, what should I write the song about? And I did it all probably. So, if I have no new ideas, I basically, open my
just listen to the
notebook.
old stuff.
Yeah, when I was like 13, and obviously, most of it never been released ever. So I was like, yeah, it still sounds good, and you feel yourself, young again.
Now, what did you call yourself, Ilya? What did you call your group in the beginning?
That first band was called Bonnie P. Bonnie, not P-E-E, not P-double-E. That would be like too punk rock here, but it was like Bonnie Pie, P-I, because my bandmate was Pavel, started with P, and I was Ilya, started with I. And we know that ABBA apparently, formed their title.
Of course. Yeah, out of the initials of the musicians.
P-I, and
of course.
Bonnie, we got from Bonnie M. It was two biggest foreign bands in Soviet Union at that time. No one heard about the Beatles and Rolling Stones, believe me, on a general level. But, ABBA and Bonnie M, I guess ABBA we knew because of Eurovision, and Bonnie M somehow managed, to play in Soviet Union, and they were on the telly once or twice. So
Bonnie P. Fabulous.
Bonnie P, yeah. We didn't live long, obviously. Our friends making jokes about P, like you would do it in any language, I guess.
It seems like you were the Russian entry in Eurovision. one year. Was it 2001? When did you sing in Eurovision?
Yeah, it was almost, yeah, I think it was 2001, and it was really fun event for us because it took place in Copenhagen. It opened us up a bit for Scandinavian audience, so which was really good. And back in years like in 90s, I used to live in London, and I knew how English people would consider Eurovision, one of those, funny events, but you still, you stick to your television,
You
and
have to watch it, of course. It's obligatory viewing.
you enjoy,
Yeah.
all those jokes about performance or that, but it's a part of a culture. It's a one night of entertainment. I never took it seriously, but year before that, my friend, who's Latvian band Prata Vetra, or Brainstorm, as they known in a few countries, they represented Latvia on Eurovision. And I was
Okay.
like, hey guys, how was that? And they said, Ilya, don't worry about all those misconceptions about actual event. Yeah, it may be a bit lame, or but it's still stand a good chance that someone will actually like your music. Maybe you won't be the first, obviously, because your songs are not that mainstream or something, but there is strong chance you gain some audience. And I was like, yeah, okay, let's do it. And
So tell me, Ilya, did something change for you after Eurovision? Because you were already a legend before you sang. You were already well established.
we were probably the biggest, biggest, not even indie, DIY band in Russia.
Oh, DIY, oh dear.
DIY, yeah, because we never been signed to any labels. We never had any major deals, so it's not that easy. But the good thing is, you keep all your copyrights and your royalties, and you still have some freedom in not only in your career, also in your creative process. So I kind of liked it.
Yeah, it's nice not to belong to a label, as they say.
But, my Latvian friends were right. Eurovision, it opened up some European markets for us where we would never ever been able to reach out. We did few tours in Scandinavia. We even managed to play in Greenland.
Greenland, good
In
lord.
Greenland, and believe it or not, we was the second band ever, a rock band, who ever played in Greenland, because they said the first one was a British band called Sweet, if you remember that, back in
Sweet.
70s. Sweet, yeah, like Sweet. And
Sure.
they said the second one supposed to be a Blur, but they didn't sell enough tickets, so they decided, we're not coming because we can't break even.
I'm told Greenland is a beautiful place, but I think it would be hard to break even at a concert venue in Greenland.
Yeah, but at that time, apparently some executives at Greenland Air liked our performance at Eurovision, so they said, we will sponsor your flight.
Fabulous.
The only thing they said, guys, you have to spend at least 1 week, in Greenland, because, we only have the flights once a week.
Yeah, that would be a challenge.
I guess we have all that, still probably 120 people in a capital of Greenland called Nuuk.
So you had 120 people at the concert.
Yeah. Well, it was you know how because they played all our music videos for a month in advance on a local cable TV. You literally, like, you press the button on local television and it's only Mumiy Troll's music videos, like all day
Smart.
long, like
Smart
today's 24/7 YouTube channels, at that time. So obviously since then we had 120 fans who came to see us in Greenland, and
At least 120. That's an amazing story. Now I got to ask you, before you started your professional music career, you worked as a businessman, or were you a translator? You said you lived in London. That surprised me.
I was an interpreter. Apparently, what happened, I used to go to so-called Chinese school in Vladivostok.
So you speak Chinese as well?
I can speak Mandarin. Yes, that was my first foreign language.
Amazing.
I started to learn Mandarin at the age of 6. Then I graduated from Far Eastern University in Vladivostok, and my specialty was Oriental Studies, Mandarin, and Chinese economy, believe it or not.
Fabulous. So did you ever get to China? You did live in London. Did you live in?
Yeah, I mean, I witnessed, the Chinese dragon grow since late 80s. I guess 88 was my first, 89 was my first ever visit to Chinese city on northern borders, where I came with delegation of, Russian business people, and, I interpret for them.
Do you remember anything about your travels around China?
Oh yeah, of course. I used to study in China for a couple of years, and I traveled, on my own, quite a lot of parts in the country. Before it was too modernized. Before they have a speed trains.
You told me something about the interesting cuisine when we spoke 2 days ago.
Yeah, that. I would say Chinese food is my favorite food, But yes, I do remember all those so-called wet markets. For one of my holiday, I came to stay in bed and breakfast near Guilin. That's one of the most picturesque place in China. When you look all those pictures with nice hills and rivers, little boats, or like Avatar.
Sure.
Yeah, the Avatar movie been based.
Right. Beautiful natural
it's
scenes.
So I stayed in one bed and breakfast. So I saw the menu had this line: rat meat.
Rat meat.
Rat, mouse. Rat meat.
Oh dear.
You can book in 1 day in advance, and I was like, "You mean rat as a rat, mouse?" They said, "Yeah, of course, local specialty." And I was like, "Hey, why you saying you have to book in advance?" Because they said, obviously, there's not much demand for that from people like you, backpackers, whatever, tourists, So, but we can do it. Yeah, we can do it. And I was like, so if I order it now, you'll do it tomorrow. I said, exactly, I will do it tomorrow. I said, you probably go to some special market, or, where they have, special breed of rats. I don't know.
Hopefully they didn't go out to catch the rat themselves, right?
Apparently said, no. We don't have to go to any markets. We just, go downstairs and,
Oh dear.
and catch one. We have lots of them. So we'll just catch
I thought
one.
I was joking, but I guess it's not a joke.
No, they say, we'll cook for you. Don't worry. It's 100% guaranteed. You will have it tomorrow.
Yum, yum. So listen, I want to talk some about your passions as well. You've set up this music festival, but I was corrected by my producer earlier, who said it's not a music festival. V-ROX is much more than music. It's music, it's education, it's sports, it's film, it's art. What is V-ROX all about?
Yeah, so we're talking about V-ROX festival, which I curated for last 7, 8 years almost in my hometown, Vladivostok. And I built it as a local version of so-called showcase festivals, like probably, South by Southwest would be a best example.
Sure.
30 years ago, and the rest is history, when independent musicians started and promoters started to get together just to trying to figure out how they can make living, not being a part of mainstream music industry. I kind of visualize a similar concept because obviously, first, Vladivostok has unique geographical position, so it's literally in the middle of Pacific. If you look at the map, so you have like Canada, United States, Mexico, whatever, Chile, from one side, which has like local music markets, which apparently not that global. And then you have like China and Korea and whatever, Indonesia and Russia. which has potentially big markets, but they do not travel, like literally, for different reasons. So my idea was like, why don't we get all those musicians in one place with all that differences in mentality, in culture, in music history? We can introduce them to each other, and then who knows, maybe some Korean artists, Canadian artists would build their careers in Russia, and some Russian musicians maybe find their audience, okay, not in English speaking country, but maybe in Japan or Korea.
Interesting. So it's geared towards the Pacific audience, the Pacific Rim audience.
That was a initial idea, and then we just realized, obviously, a few days later there was few hits in the economy in Russia and some political issues. So we said, okay, probably business aspect doesn't grow that fast as we wanted, but there is still interest, genuine interest from artists all over the world, and I guess word of mouth of artists who visited Vladivostok helped us a lot. And yes, we had the cover of New York Times describing our festival as a East by East or whatever they call it, which helped me a lot because I don't have resources like I didn't have, as I said, any booking agents or management companies supporting this festival. So it's done literally on personal networking.
So instead of South by Southwest, you were East by Northeast.
Yeah, something like that. Something like that. And so we include not only music, so we include street art as well, and indie movies. Actually, anything which people seems to be interested in. And through my experience, I understood, okay, I might have one vision, in my head, which doesn't really relate all the time to people who actually live in a place, full time. So we're trying to find a compromise between local taste and the sense of exploration. Let's educate each other. Let's just see what your colleagues, your people of same age who's like in rock music, what they doing in different countries, how what kind of songs they've written, and
well, you've set up a fabulous platform. I wanted to ask also about, you were talking about education, and I know you've educated people about tigers. You had an album that was named Amba, which I'm told is the word tiger in a local language. You are also passionate about tigers.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. And I've been involved in really heavily into all this conservation work. Partly, just because I'm originally from, Russian Far East, and at some point I was approached by some international charity and said, "Would you be, like to be on a board?" And I was like, guys, I'm not professional. I'm just a musician. And they said, "No, just spread an awareness. This is how it works." So. Yeah, and then I represented these local charities, globally. World Bank negotiations, everywhere. So we ended up in producing a big event in St. Petersburg. I think it was like 10 years ago, so-called Tiger Summit, when we had head of states of so-called tiger countries. There are only like, I believe, 12 countries in the world where actual tigers lived.
Really?
Yeah. So
in the wild, obviously.
Yeah, in the wild. Yeah, exactly. So so it's been interesting. Lots of things changed since then, and apparently, especially in Russia, there is a strong law now about tiger conservation, and there are few big government program runs. So I'm glad that our tiny steps made a difference.
It's great to make a difference, especially with a majestic and noble animal like the tiger.
Yeah, and yes, Amba is on Udege language, which is considered the local native people, who lived there for thousands of years.
Where in the Amur region?
Yeah, in maritime area, Primorye.
Okay.
the hotel in Taiga. Yeah, they call Taiga, that name.
Well, it's great that you've dedicated yourself to that. Now, I want to talk a little about the appeal of your music, not only to Russian audiences, however. You have done successful foreign tours. You have toured the United States, you've toured Europe, you've toured Canada 3 times. As long as we're talking about Canada, what were your impressions about Canada? And why is it that your music appeals to a non-Russian speaking audience? I mean, that's surprising.
Yeah, I mean, I guess talking about Canada, Canada is a unique country. I mean, you guys have people literally from from different cultural backgrounds who live happily in one place. And yes, I could say probably Canadian people appreciate foreign sounding bands more than people say in United States. But at the same time, when you talk about foreign band going to singing in their language, going to other countries on tour. So you think, okay, you have some local, say, Russian communities in every country, so you would play for them. But
sure, there's a diaspora everywhere, I suppose.
yeah, exactly, and it's still our kind of main foreign audience. But at the same time, me personally, as a listener, I was like, okay, I might not understand all that lyrics of my favorite bands. So I love David Bowie. It doesn't mean that I can, crack his lyrics.
That's actually true. I have some songs that I love too, but when you learn what the lyrics are actually saying, it's not that inspiring often.
and that was always my case. Like I said, just don't worry. I mean, I know that people who write in lyrics, and especially me, they're so serious and they so detailed, like how they put certain word in. But it's not the most important thing in a song. The most important thing, it's like whole appeal as a whole. So in other words, the music and lyrics and even outfits, in a life approach, everything has to work, together. And once you have those, golden blend or whatever of approaches, in one package, then it works. And it will work in China, it will work in Russia, it will work in Canada. Okay, maybe for more advanced audience, more music lovers than general audience. But this is what a life about. We're just trying to connect to like-minded people. And I have no problem with it would be only 5 of them, not like 5 million.
So you toured Canada 3 times. What are your impressions? Do you remember which cities did you see? By the way, just the big
I guess
cities.
we saw more than we saw more than usual foreign band on tour. Okay, so we usually where people usually go: Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, and yes, I
Of
think
course.
Vancouver is probably one of the most beautiful place on earth I ever seen. And sometimes I think what would be more majestic, and that nature create, ocean and the mountains and the people.
D- does it remind you of Vladivostok?
Yeah, like Vladivostok 3000, I guess.
Okay, in the future.
Some kind of futuristic version of Vladivostok. Usually they compare Vladivostok to San Francisco. Apparently, I guess Mr. Khrushchev, said this phrase back in years, and like everyone stick to it. Like, oh, Vladivostok is Russian San Francisco. Yeah, but you can say. But not only those places, we once we took a bus through Canada and we drove all those big distances like 1,000 kilometers a day, which reminded me of tour in Russia. Apparently, when you just going through the woods and hills and mountains. Apparently, Mid Canada reminds me of Siberia.
There are similarities for sure.
Yeah, yeah, landscape wise, and we stayed in places like Regina, and but
Fabulous city.
I guess my personal favorite was when we played Winnipeg.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, we played in Winnipeg, some local pub, and our promoter said, "You probably guys, probably don't have enough, following in Winnipeg. Would you really go to the stop there?" And I was definitely will stop at Winnipeg, just because when I was a kid, I was a big fan of Winnipeg Jets.
Oh, the Jets, fabulous.
Yes, and I literally had, I knew each hockey player's name, and can't remember it now, but
Did you
yeah.
get a chance to take in a game while you were there? Did you get to see
No,
a,
no, no,
a,
no,
a
not
match?
really. Yeah, I guess
Oh,
it was out of season, but yeah, I mean, I say we definitely stop in Winnipeg. That's it's sort of my duty, my personal obligation. Just give back something to Winnipeg, just because I had so much fun and so much great time watching Jets playing. Back in years against Soviet hockey team. I don't know. It was
that's amazing.
it was actually part of my you know children's culture. So
Who would have thought that Ilya Lagutenko is a Winnipeg Jets fan? Fascinating. Now, but you got out east too. You were in Toronto, you were in Montreal. I heard that you're even working with some up and coming Montreal singers. Is that right?
yeah, funnily enough, during pandemic times, I mean, which is looks like never
Never
close,
ending story.
oh,
Yes.
oh yeah, never ending story. But last year, I obviously stuck in Los Angeles because international travel were banned, and everyone on lockdown, no live tours, nothing. So you okay, so what are we doing now? We just have to adjust all our plans to something different. And I was working on a live show of instrumental music at that time, and I had no idea how to market and promote it. And suddenly, all those live tours situation disappeared in a thin air, and I was like, okay, we have to just readapt and redesign it, and as a studio project. And I started to reach out to different vocalists all over the world. First, through the people I know, different musicians I've met through V-ROX as well. So we had the guys from New Zealand and Germany, United States. So we started to record songs remotely. And through one of my colleagues, I've been introduced to this amazing young singer. Her name Ariel Fitzpatrick. She based in Montreal. She started to write her own songs. So basically, we collaborated online. I wrote the music. She wrote and sings the lyrics. Now we're in the process of finalizing these tracks, and I just have to tease you a little bit. And yes, the tracks is amazing. It sounds amazing, and it definitely will be a next big hit. Of course, I have to believe in that.
Ariel Fitzpatrick, can we hear her online? Have you produced a song yet?
No, it's not really. I mean, this scheduled release for the end of May, and it will accompany by music video, which already been shot in Toronto. You see the pandemic outcome has some positive sides. So I literally started Canadian-based project. Record
Fabulous.
music with people from Canada, film music videos with Canadian crew, and it just we just clicked, I guess, together. We love the song. We love to work together. We understand where we're going. We have something to share. So it would be like really interesting how all that remote approach will finally worked out.
Well, we're waiting with bated breath, I can tell you. Now, during the pandemic, you've had time to spend. You've had more time with your family, I'm sure. Your lovely wife. We got to meet your daughter, Vivi, 2 days ago when we were chatting. You have a daughter, Letitia. You're obviously a wonderful family man, and that's fabulous. That's excellent. What about your fans? Do your fans miss you? You haven't been on tour for a year and a half.
So yeah, but these days it's much easier to communicate via all those social platforms, and we try to keep our fans entertained. Through the last year, we produced few live stream shows. We recorded and released a couple of albums, and we even
Uh-huh.
produced 360 VR experience for them. So I guess it was one of the first one of that kind, shows which you can watch in, this headset, virtual reality headsets. And
Oh my God.
to be honest with you, I can't say, it won't probably fake life experience 100%, but it's definitely a new form of communicating with your fans, and I really can see the future in that. So I started to think more and more, about all these technological approaches. And as a matter of fact, we just realized with my crew that it's much easier to complement some technological ideas than to find the right artistic approach for them, if you know
Aha.
what I mean. So in other words, yes, okay, we can broadcast live music, VR 360, even being on a different continents. We actually found a system how can we do it with all this, time lags, ping pongs, whatever, whatever you
Yeah.
call it. But the thing is how it will look like and how audience will feel yourself. That's the next step, and I guess this is where we all go in, like it or not.
That's fascinating. Now tell me, your last album was called After Evil, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. That's a pretty, correct translation, I guess, of the title. После zla. It's actually after the evil.
And is it dedicated to a particular concept? What evil are we talking about?
The thing was, we actually recorded those songs in 2019. So 2020, when pandemic starts, we've been in the process of mixing and post production of that songs, and then suddenly all few words and top lines in a song suddenly started to make sense. I guess it's one of those magic surprises, and this is why I like to write songs. You never know what will happen next, because whatever idea you have in mind when you write it, people might get it, might not. It might relate to something I know in particular, but the rest of population in the whole globe probably wouldn't see it, has a connection. But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
then 20 years later or 1 year later, a week later, suddenly, you find an answer after the evil. Like now our fans say, after the evil, it's after pandemic is over, right? This is what you mean. You mean like you will be joining us after the pandemic, after the evil. And I would say, yeah, why not?
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
sure, of course. And
Why not? Fascinating.
we have, at least we have some good news from Russia. They loosened up restrictions on live entertainment right now, so we are back on the road. Literally this month, like next month, April, we will play venue in Moscow.
Oh, you will.
Yes, so
Oh, that's
while
great news.
we're still uncertain when we can visit Canada or US, we can 100% sure say April 17th. Come to see our gig in Moscow.
Well, I'm going to put it on my calendar. I can tell you.
Yeah, with all that, social distancing, and I believe it's like 1/3 of capacity, but still, it's a live show, and we'll see you, and okay, I will be wearing mask, and I'm hope most of the people in the audience will get vaccinated by then. So
What venue are you playing? Is it?
it's called Moscow Music Dome. I think it's a new venue.
The Dom
New
Music.
venue. We never
Yes.
played there. Apparently, they opened it like before pandemic, and nothing really happened there. So
Okay. Well, I want to close up. Our hour is almost up. I wanted to talk about some other programs that you've done. PSV Bootcamp. What is that about?
I also been one of the founder of this non-profit together with UCLA, University of Los Angeles. We came up with an educational program for aspiring songwriters. Not only young ones, but it's more about like business side of music industry for independent musicians, independent singer-songwriters, let's put it this way. How to write songs for movies and commercials, how to navigate in this digital world of music streaming, how to catch up with new technologies, how to write scores for films and TV series. All those things, they're really interesting, and they're, here in the US, they built a big industry around it. There are enough talented young composers and musicians in the rest of the world who could jump into it as well. So right now we have 3 classes during 2021. The first one just finished, and I had raving reviews from people who actually took part into it. That's completely free for Russian-speaking musicians. That
it's free of charge, and it's in Russian, yeah.
And it's in English, but it's for Russian musicians only so far.
Yeah. Okay, but they better learn. They better know how to speak English.
In this world, we'd rather enjoy knowing few languages.
Yeah. But you've got a few under your belt already. Do you know something besides?
I'm telling you because I think I made some use out of my knowledge of Mandarin and English and Russian and some Spanish. So it helped me a lot, to
okay.
Even in what I'm doing, even in my music career.
Well, you've got the bases covered if you've got those 4 languages. I have to say, Ilya, it's been a pleasure talking with you. It's been a pleasure hearing about what makes you tick, what inspires you. And please know that CERBA wishes you the very best in your future endeavors. I can tell you that I expected this to be a conversation only about culture, only about music. But here we've touched on all sorts of themes. We've touched on aspiring musicians. We've touched on tigers. We've even talked about business because you've got a business venture connected with Canada. So this has been a very eye-opening and exciting interview for me. Thank you so much for taking the time to do it.
Thanks a lot, Nathan. Yeah.
You've been listening to Icebreakers, the podcast produced by CERBA, a nonprofit business association supporting trade, investment, and good relations between Canada and the countries of Eurasia. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe to the show and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. You can join our LinkedIn group to send questions to guests and find more information about the podcast series in general on our website at www.serbanet.org. Thanks for tuning in.